After all of this time, after all of these games that have been heavily criticized, to hell and back, after so many unfinished games, Final Fantasy XV, the City of Final Fantasy NT, Kingdom Hearts 3, the Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was that's the only game that this company has released over the last several years that's been praised, and the only reason it was praised is because it was Final Fantasy VII. And that game was still mediocre to an extent. Why is anyone looking forward to anything else that this company does? This company even released a lot of their IPs that they owned at the beginning of 2022, but now they no longer have access to said IP. And I'm talking about IP like Deus Ex, Tomb Raider, Guardians of the Galaxy, the Avengers. This company no longer has access to IP such as those because they're more concerned about trying to rip off their fan base, which they seem to do a very good job of because Square Enix fans in general are idiots. They're just as stupid as the motherfuckers within the Souls-like community. But even Square Enix fans had to draw the line somewhere. Of course, everyone knows what has become of Babylon's Fall, which is set to shut down in late February next year in 2023. I don't even think this game would have been out for a good year. Yeah, it launched in March, early March of this year. So by the time this game shuts down and Square Enix has ended the service for the game still will have yet to be 1 year old. If that's not a failure, then I don't know what is. And this is a big failure for Platinum Games, which is a developer who continuously struggles to have their products, have their games break into a mainstream audience. The only two games that they developed that's really reached that level is Bayonetta, and I wouldn't even argue for Bayonetta because Bayonetta didn't really become popular until the second game, which was funded by Nintendo. So honestly, the only game that they've developed that's really hit it with the mainstream crowd is Nier Automata. And I don't believe they're ever going to make a true sequel to Nier Automata. So really, it's all null and void at this point. It's all been a fruitless waste of time, just like Babylon's Fall, a game that I played a demo for. I did download the demo for Babylon's Fall before that game came out, and I played about 20 minutes of it, and it is one of the worst pieces of shit that I've ever played on any platform, from any time period in the gaming industry. It is terrible. It surprises me, actually, that they didn't shut this game down even sooner. And see, this game, it had potential. It really did. But Square Enix decided to turn it into a live service game. A game that only exists in order to money gouge the audience that it's actually aimed towards. And of course, it backfired, just like Dissidia NT backfired with its ridiculously expensive DLC offerings and lack of content laced throughout. Just like the Avengers failed within the first month of that game being released to market. It seems that this company will never learn. And to further back up this argument of mine, there was a late August interview with Final Fantasy XVI producer Naoki Yoshida, in which he decided to explain his opinion on the state of the Final Fantasy series as it exists today. And he had some interesting things to say, such as, in terms of whether Final Fantasy is successfully adapting to industry trends, I believe the series is currently struggling. We're now at a point where we receive a wide variety of requests regarding the direction of our game design. You want to know why that is? You want to know why you have so many different requests from your fan base as to what they want to see the next game be as far as game direction, that's because Final Fantasy hasn't had a direction. It hasn't had a consistent direction since really Final Fantasy X. They've had so many different types of games that the audience will never be satisfied because Square Enix doesn't even know what Final Fantasy is anymore. These people who are actually in charge of the series doesn't even know what it is at this point. It's kind of hard to pick a direction to go in when you don't know exactly who your audience is or what they even want. If Square Enix was smart, they would take what actually worked about the Final Fantasy VII remake and they would build upon that with another game in the series that's not Final Fantasy VII and make that the new core direction of the series. If they were smart and sophisticated, they would do that. But they're not going to do that because Square Enix is run by fucking clowns. The CEO does not care about the quality of the IPs, the very few IPs that Square Enix has left, as evident by the letter that he wrote to fans at the beginning of this year talking about NFTs and how he supports the blockchain. Where has the blockchain gotten you? Huh? Where has the blockchain gotten Square Enix? Where has it gotten you? Where have these live service games have gotten Square Enix as a company? And what's interesting about this interview, if you continue further down, he admits that, to be honest, it'd be impossible to satisfy all of those requests with a single title. Well, of course. So what's his solution? What's the solution here? My current impression is that all we can really do is create multiple games and continue creating the best that we can at any given time. But see, that's not the answer, and the reason that's not the answer is because Square Enix has been doing that the entire time, and it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. It hasn't really worked from a sales perspective if you compare Final Fantasy to other similar RPG franchises that have since surpassed Final Fantasy in terms of both quality and sales. It hasn't worked from a critical standpoint. Video game journalists and other similar critics do not rate the Final Fantasy games as high as the series used to enjoy. The scores reflect that. Even if you look at some of the more recent games that have been released this year, Chocobo GP, whatever the hell that is, Final Fantasy, whatever random game, pixel remaster, that only the hardcore of the most hardcore of fans is going to care about. Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin, which was not received very well. It seems to me that creating a bunch of different games with different directions aimed at very strange audiences, like how Stranger of Paradise was aimed at the Souls-like audience, Final Fantasy and the word Souls does not belong in the same sentence. Making different types of games is not the solution, plain and simple. And looking over some of the responses to this article and what have you, the issue with the series is that it's not outdated, it's that it refuses to embrace its roots. Exactly. Square Enix will not go back to what made Final Fantasy great in the first place. And this is their flagship IP. This is one of the only IPs that Square Enix has left, is Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts and Dragon Quest and different games like that. So, if they can't get Final Fantasy right, and they fucked up the last Kingdom Hearts game, and it doesn't appear that number 4 is really going to be any better than what number 3 was, what does Square Enix have left to offer the gaming industry? At large, in general. Not much. Not much of anything at this point. They haven't learned a goddamn thing. How sad.